All right, so we've done a bunch of factoring lately. Now we're going to get into why we can factor and why we should factor. Zero product property is this. A times B equals 0. If A times B equals 0, then either A equals 0 or B equals 0. And what that means is this. I have two things being multiplied. They're equal to 0. That means you set 2x plus 3 equal to 0 and x minus 5 equal to 0, and you get two solutions. So you subtract 3 from both sides, we get 2x equals negative 3, we get x is equal to negative 3/2. Or we add 5 to both sides, we get x equals 5. All right, so we're getting all the solutions now. Now we're solving. When there's an equal sign, it's not just factoring, it's factoring and solving the quadratic in most cases. Okay, so now we're going to get into factoring. So this is what I think is a perfect square trinomial, meaning this is the square of 3x. This is the square of 2. 3x times 2 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So there we go. So this is 3x minus 2 and 3x minus 2. That would give me the negative 12x in there if I multiplied it out. So here we're actually going to get one solution with a multiplicity of 2. So we said each of them equal to 0 if you want to. But since it's the same thing twice, don't really have to do that. But anyway, we add 2 to both sides. We get 3x equals 2. We divide by 3. We get x is equal to 2/3. And we get the same thing here. So that means I would probably write the multiplicity of 2, because that means we have 1, 2 of those solutions. All right, okay. Next example. Now here's a problem. We don't have 0. So how are we going to do this? We have to get 0 on one side. So we're going to remove everything from this side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. I'm also going to add 6 at the same time. And this is what we end up with. 0 equals, now this comes straight down, x squared. There's no other term that combines with a negative 3x, so minus 3x, and then 10 plus, or negative 10 plus 6 is a negative 4. Okay, now I have it set equal to 0. And the 0 can be on this side or it could be on that side. It doesn't really matter, but we're still going to factor. So I'm going to leave it as is. What two numbers, since I have, this is a 1 right here, I can use the x method. What two numbers multiply to a negative 4 and add up to a negative 3? 4 and 1 maybe? If I make that negative for sure. So this would be x minus 4 and x plus 1. And so that gives me, now that I factor it completely, now I set them both equal to 0. So x minus 4 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0. I add 4. I get x equals 4 as one solution. And then I subtract 1 from both sides, and I get x is equal to negative 1. So that one I got two solutions, two different solutions, and they're both nice, no fractions. Next one, similar to the last one. Now what I'm going to do here, since I already have a 2x squared over here, I'm going to add x squared to both sides. I get 3x squared. All right. I'm also going to subtract 23x from both sides. And I get minus 33x. And look, I have one side set equal to 0. This is wonderful. Now, I'm going to go ahead and factor the left side. And you might be saying, but there's only two terms. What are we going to do? I'm going to show you. We're going to take out what they have in common, the least common, or the greatest common factor right now. So they're both divisible by 3 and an x. When you do that, you're left with x minus 11. So we factored, not a fancy factoring, but we just factored. And now we can set it up. Now I have two things being multiplied to get 0. So I have 3x equals 0, and I have x minus 11 equals 0. So here we divide both sides by 3, unless you already know that one of the solutions is x equals 0. And here we add 11 to both sides. So we get x equals 11. Those are my two solutions. And there you have it. 2 done. Okay. Now, this is a difference of two squares, which is why you need to be very good at factoring to recognize that. Otherwise, you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, Mr. Byrne. And I'll say, I can't hear you because we're remote. So this will be 9x and 9x, because that's how you get 81x squared. And then 16. It'll be 4 and 4. So I put addition in one, I put subtraction in another. Now, you might be saying to yourself, that might be able to keep factoring. Well, 9 is a square and 4 is a square, but the x is not a square. So that means it's already completely factored. We're going to get two solutions. They're just going to be opposites of one another. So I have 9x plus 4 equals 0, and I have 9x minus 4 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 4. I'm going to add 4 over here. I get 9x equals negative 4, and 9x equals 4. I'm going to divide both sides by 9. X equals negative 4/9, and x equals positive 4/9. And if you're saying to yourself, couldn't I just write that answer, x equals plus or minus 4/9? Absolutely. You go ahead and be my guest. Okay.